Hi, and welcome to Bloody Good Reads. I'm your host, Mark Goddard. So this week's guest has a brand new book coming out. We'll find out when, because I'm not very good with dates. You guys know this. In her The Wild Oblivion series, it's a follow-up from The Wild Dark. So this week's guest, welcome to the podcast, Katherine Silva.
Hello, hello. I'm excited to be here.
So what we like to do here on Bloody Good Reads is force authors to pick 3 books they love, because I am a bastard. But before we get to that point, and before we get into kind of your writing and the new series, I'll ask you, like I ask every guest, how did you get into the horror genre?
Well, I think I've always just kind of liked to write and read scary things, even when I was a little kid. And I I actually got into wanting to write horror because of a an author that I fell in love with when I was a young adult. And her books really inspired me. Kind of got me into vampires. That was the gateway, and
Mm-hmm.
then there I've just sort of fallen full tilt into wanting to write scary stuff.
Okay. May I ask which author? Because I was also a
Sure.
huge vampire fan, so before I kind of got into more extreme stuff, I was very kind of vampire, Buffy, that kind of that end of the
Oh
spectrum. But
yeah,
yeah, so which
yeah.
which author was it?
It was Amelia Atwater Rhodes.
Okay.
Young adult author who actually was 15 when she published her first book. And that was really inspiring because I was young and I was writing and I really wanted to be an author. That's kind of what my dream had always been. So seeing somebody achieve that at a young age really pushed me to want to get my stuff out there.
Obviously, I'm assuming you're a Buffy fan as well.
Yes,
Yeah, of
definitely.
course, of course. If you're starting into vampires, you have to start from somewhere, I suppose. It's always going to be
Yeah.
Buffy. Angel for me, but there you go.
Oh, I love that one too.
A lot more darker, a bit more adult, which is
Yeah.
as a teenager something that Keanu was looking for. But, but Laura K. Hamilton was my kind of entryway into vampire fiction. Her and
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit of Brian Lumley. So what was your kind of reading habits growing up? So what was you kind of into reading as a young reader?
Well, I was lucky enough to grow up just down the road from a library. So we went there pretty much every week and checked out books. And honestly, some of my favorite things to read in the beginning were Goosebumps, of course, because, what kid doesn't get into Goosebumps books when they're a kid? And Animorphs was the other one. So I had this love for the sci-fi fantasy and for horror. And then somewhere around third grade, I started checking out these books on it's really it's kind of morbid, I guess, for third grade, but it was all these books about people who had died from apex predators, from just
Okay.
doing really stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
And I love those books, and I would just read them over and over and over. And, people jumping in ponds where there was crocodiles and going on hikes and there's mountain lions and they died and got dragged off and terrible stuff like that. But I don't know what it was, but I was really into it, really interested in it. And well, it's definitely carried forward.
So was you also like a keen writer in school as well, as a kind of a young reader?
Yeah, I wrote all the time.
Mm.
Like, just every moment I could, I was coming up with stories. As early as I can remember, I was drawing like picture book stories and stapling them together with um, drawing pictures with my dad's art supplies, just like going to town and writing haunted house stories and things like that. So there's a trunk full of old uh, child Katherine documents at my parents' house, with all of these, spooky, silly stories.
When was it that you kind of went to start writing kind of as an adult? Because you got a couple of novellas out, and I think did you start with Vox as your kind of first release, the Monstrum
Yeah,
Chronicles?
yeah.
When was it kind of when did you decide you wanted to jump
So,
into it?
so um, I had gone to my first semester of college, um, and it didn't work out, just wasn't for me. So I left and pursued just working at home. I actually, ironically, still work for the same place, sporting goods store. And I decided to join an adult ed class, which was about writing. And it was my first instance where I was in a group where we were sharing feedback, and I really, really needed that and liked that a lot, and ended up forming a writing group with a few of those people later on. And but I started working on the bones of what is now book 3 of the Monstrum Chronicles,
Mm.
um, Memento Mori, and I was writing and I fell in love with my villain, and I really wanted to tell his story first for some reason. So I took my villain from Memento Mori and I wrote Vox, which was uh the the book. It's a vampire book, of course, and
Yeah, yeah.
um it's got this very like it's, I guess I would call it more Vampire the Masquerade, like World of Darkness vampires,
Mm.
that feeling. And then also it has some Da Vinci Code, like conspiracy theory stuff and secret societies and things like that. And I honestly didn't start writing in earnest on that until I had a breakup with somebody, and that really forced me to buckle down and just work. And I cranked out that novel in 5 months and self-published it with the help of a local company. And then that was the jump into professional writing.
I'm not even going to ask where the inspiration for it come from, because you're a huge vampire fan. So, but cool. I mean, did you finish Memento Mori before you started Vox, or did you go back to it after?
I went back to it after. Yeah,
Okay.
I got through maybe 6 or 7 chapters on Memento Mori, and then I was just like, no, I can't. I'm really into this other character, and I want to write this other story. So I had started writing it, and that was like pretty early on in the year. It was like February, March or something like that. And then the summer came and I was really busy, and then the breakup happened, and then September I just like jumped into it with both feet and wrote constantly.
So before we get into your next series, you seem to like series, which is nice.
Oh,
Seems to be an
yes.
ongoing thing. But before we get into
Unintentional.
kind of before we get into the Wild Oblivion series, again, what we like to do here on Bloody Good Reads is to force us to pick 3 books they love. So, what is your first Bloody Good read?
Well, I think it's fair to start with an Amelia Atwater Rhodes book as my first choice. So I am going to start with Demon in My View, which was it's actually her second book that she wrote, but it was the first one that I read, and I just loved that book. I have read that book so many times. It's not even funny. Even up to this day, I go back to it just to read it, and it's such a triumph in like good pacing, um, very short but brilliant descriptions. It really captured my attention when I was a kid, and brought me into this netherworld of vampires and shapeshifters and witches, and I just loved it. And then I immediately bought all the other books that she had written in that series and read them. And yeah, it's so good.
Cool. So, being a series, I'm guessing this kind of took a lot of your kind of younger years to, one of the ones you're kind of stuck with. Like for me, it was like Laura K. Hamilton ones. I kept going for them ones until kind of I stopped reading for ages. But cool, awesome. So your current series, which is unintentional.
Yeah.
Where did you start with this one? Because I'm going for, I try and go for the websites of all my guests and see kind of the running order of things. But where did you start with this series? Was it with The Wild Dark, or was it with the novellas or
It
novellettes?
it started with the Wild Dark, and then all of the shorter works sort of branched off of it. And the Wild Dark was actually, believe it or not, a erotica book that I had started writing years ago, and it wasn't intended to be that, but it definitely had this like dark, moody feeling to it. And then I took sort of I left it sitting in a file in my filing cabinet for years. And then I took scraps of that and turned it into this book, which is definitely more supernatural horror, more uh, sort of surreal fantasy, and there's still notes of the love story there, of course, but it became something else. It became just this terrifying, what if purgatory takes over the world, and it's in the form of this forest, and then ghosts of everybody's loved ones come back and haunt them. So I liked the apocalyptic feel of it. I liked the uncertainty of not knowing how people would react, and this particular protagonist who is a cop who's mourning the death of her partner, how she's going to react to it. So it's just a very fun ride.
After writing The Wild Dark, what was it about the series that made you want to kind of do orchards and kind of the kind of the shorter novellas going forward?
So when I finished The Wild Dark, I knew deep down that I wasn't done with Liz and her story, even though I had intended for it to be a one-off book, no more. I knew I was going to write more with her, and I actually started on the sequel pretty much as soon as I was finished, and I got about 100 pages down, and then let it sit and realized that there were other characters from the book that I really wanted to write one-offs for too. Um, so Hallowed Oblivion, which is the novel, I guess it's a novelette. Um, it's a prequel to The Wild Dark, and Hank is a forest ranger that Liz encounters during the beginning of the book, and uh, I wanted to write a Halloween story. That was kind of the main inspiration. So I thought, what better thing to do than have a group of lost campers in the White Mountains, and he goes up to try and search for them. And I brought in the soul-eating wolves, which are one of the main antagonists of the series, to have their first chronological reveal, and and then also threw in another character who's only mentioned in The Wild Dark, just to be fun. And then Orchards was a, like, Brody's story didn't feel done to me either. And I thought that that was a good way to wrap up his story and also tell something from his point of view, because most of the Wild Dark is primarily from Liz's point of view. And I had this really weird idea to do it with these black and white images that I had found that were what's the word? They were royalty free black and white images, very
Hmm.
stark, beautiful photos. And then I placed poetry on top with stylized topography, um, to really like home in on the feeling, the pain and the sadness and the confusion. And so that was the first time I've done anything like that. It was really risky. I was really nervous about putting it out there. It's gotten a few really good reviews so far. I'd love more people to find it, though, as always. Um, and then the last one, which is by far the silliest spin-off from that series, is Dan and Andy's Karaoke Holiday, which was a spin-off from Hell at Oblivion, and it's about these two guys, and they're, they're best friends, they love each other, and they get stuck in the bar as the woods are taking over the world. And they're sort of just surviving in their favorite bar for a few weeks, and slowly going crazy. And that's based off of two of my coworkers at work, who are wonderful human beings who provide lots of inspiration every day.
Awesome. It's nice as well because it's so much more backstory and lore to jump into,
Mm.
um, which will hopefully then push more people. Even if, would you say you could read these standalone, or would you say you would need to read the first book first as well? Because obviously it's got returning characters.
So with Hell at Oblivion and Dan and Andy's Karaoke Holiday, you could read those alone,
Mm.
certainly. I think it is important for people to know that there are uh, there is the Wild Dark, that is a fully fleshed out novel, so they can get more of a fix if they really like the short stuff. But those two they could read on their own. Orchards, I probably would read the Wild Dark first before going into that one.
Because obviously it's Brody, and he is obviously
Yeah.
one of the main aspects of that book. Cool. Okay. So before we get into the Wildfall, what we'll do, we're going to your second pick. So what is your second bloody good read?
My second pick is Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton.
Okay. I haven't had Jurassic Park yet. I've had other ones by him, but not Jurassic Park yet, which surprises me after almost 90 episodes. But yeah. So
Yeah.
why, obviously, it's a strange thing to ask. Why Jurassic Park? It's a classic, but why Jurassic
Yeah.
Park?
So I mean, as a kid growing up in the 90s, of course, we watched the movie, and um and I had seen the hardcover of Jurassic Park at the library, and as soon as I could get it out, I got it out and read it. And I really, I actually strangely prefer the book to the movie. There's just a lot of little things that got left out. Um, different characters dying, different characters living, obviously. A lot of the sci-fi technical writing that Michael Crichton included in the book, just, it's got such a more like in-depth feel. And I really fell in love with his writing pretty early on. I ended up reading a bunch of his books like back to back. Um, and the techno thriller was his thing. That was just kind of what he was known for. And he did it brilliantly. He was just such an incredible author. But Jurassic Park, there's scenes in here that I've read multiple times over. Like, there's a scene that's not in the movie where Alan and the two kids are in a boat on the river, and they have to be, really quiet because the Tyrannosaurus Rex is there. And I was, every time I read that, I'm like, God, why didn't they put that in the movie? Like, that would be such a tense, frightening scene. But also, it just, like, I know for a fact when he was writing that book, he originally had wanted Tim and Lexi to be the main characters, and the publishing company didn't want that, so he had to create an adult character, which was Alan Grant, and then only then did they say, oh, okay, now we'll publish it. But I was drawn to the idea that he really wanted to capture that youthful excitement about dinosaurs, about these characters that were being thrown into a new world, with frightening and also wondrous possibilities. I think that's what attracted me to that book and that movie, initially, is just like, I like people being thrown into situations where they're uh, expecting something, and then the bad shit happens. I guess.
Okay. He's written some of the most amazing movies before, obviously
Yeah.
in book form, but Jurassic Park, Westworld. Travels was his one, which was picked before. I'm just going through his back catalogue now. Travels was picked right early on in the podcast when we first started recording. So, yeah, yeah. Second outing from Michael Crichton, and it's not Stephen King, so even better. Awesome, cool. So, The Wildfall is your next book coming out. When are you looking to have like the release date for this one? Because I know it's on pre-order at the moment.
Yep. It's on pre-order. It is due to come out August 3rd. That's kind of the due date that I chose, and I chose it because in my, fictional world, Brody's birthday is actually in August, and last year I published Orchards on August 2nd, which was right around there too, so I kind of wanted it to coincide. And the first scene of the book takes place in August too.
Okay.
So, and it's also my birthday that month, so why not?
Why not? Happy birthday to you. That's what it is. Awesome. So tell us a bit about the second book without having too many spoilers, I suppose.
Sure. So the Wildfall does take place 10 years after the end of the Wild Dark, and I think I knew that I kind of wanted to do a time jump when I was writing it, because I figured we had kind of explored everything that needed to be explored surrounding the initial date of the merging / the apocalypse, and I wanted to see how things had changed in the future and explore more. So that's what I ended up doing. It takes place 10 years in the future. We see, an older Liz, an older Hank, and an older Evie, sort of living in New England still and trying to get by, and the woods have continued to close in around them, and take over more of the world. And that's still kind of like their daily struggle, is trying to avoid the woods. They have to keep running, or find a place that isn't anywhere close, so that they can stay in for a while. And they find out that there is this community nearby that is was known to have wind and solar power, so self-sufficient, means that they could potentially live life a little bit easier. They've heard that people have been going there, so they decide to go there too. And things are not what they expect when they get there.
Which is a good way of ending it because obviously we can't spoil it. Awesome, awesome. So that's going to be out in August. Do go and pick up a copy of the first book as well. So that's The Wild Dark, and obviously the spin-offs as well. Um, get all your fill while you can before August. You've got enough time. Go and do it. Don't be stupid. Just come by it. Before we get on to your third and final Bloody Good Read, I am going to have to ask you about your YouTube interview series. You've put me to shame, damn it, with your interviews over on YouTube. So, when did the winter views kind of begin for you? So, what was it that made you want to become an interviewer on the old
Yeah, so
YouTube?
honestly, I started Winterviews last year, and it's more just because, like, there's so many talented and amazing people in this horror community,
Mhm.
and I love to learn. I love to see how people tick, and what their inspirations are and how they approach things. I'm always trying to look um, at things a different way, and um, sort of better my own writing. So, what's the best way to do that but talk with other people who create? So, I started Winterviews last year in January and interviewed a really awesome set of people that first year, and then decided that I was going to follow it up with a series two, which we're coming to the end of. I have the last episode of this season is this Thursday with Stephanie Parent, which I'm very excited about, and the series revolves around talking about different genres, subgenres in horror. It's a great way to get people to be really passionate about the things that they love to write about. So, I've had some really great conversations with Todd Kiesling and Robert Atone and Antonia Rachel Ward, Paul Michael Anderson, just to name a few this season. And I'm really looking forward to next year and who will be on the program then.
Awesome. So, we've got to do it. What is your last, third, and final Bloody Good Read?
It is a classic. It is The Wizard of Oz, actually. It's The
Okay.
Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Which is very dark in its own way. So
It certainly
yeah.
is. Like, it's one that will always be one of my favorites, no matter what, book and movie together. I have not read much of the expanded Oz universe,
Mhm.
unfortunately. It's on my list to do, but only when I have every single one within my possession,
They are
so that I
hard
can
to get hold
just,
of.
yes, so that I
Yeah.
can just blaze through them. But I do have this beautiful, like, collector's edition hardcover um, that just has all of this background information and history, and um, it like that was my said gateway already, but really my window into fantasy when I was a kid. It was the like a girl being lost in a strange land, which is one of my favorite things to write about. Um, and time and time again, I can just crack open this book or watch the movie and find pure enjoyment in it, and uh, never get tired of it. Uh, terrible, terrible fact is that I have every song from the movie memorized. There's nothing that will take the place of those lyrics. Um, but yes, that's my final bloody good read.
Awesome. We don't have to really explain much about Wizard of Oz. We all know what it is about. It's a classic. If you haven't seen Wizard of Oz, go and see Wizard of Oz. But awesome. Great free picks and different picks this time around, which I'm very happy about. We always get the same Stephen King books. So not slagging off
Oh
Stephen King,
gosh.
but it's always the same
Yeah,
four books.
another really bad thing is that I have not actually read any Stephen King. It's so cringy. I've read one short story, which is The Road Virus Heads North, which was amazing, um but yeah, I'm sure that people will listen to this and just like go insane.
Don't worry. I believe most of Stephen King fans hate me already because I always slag it off. Awesome, awesome. So yeah, like I said before, go and grab a copy of The Wild Dark, and also go and pre-order The Wild Fall as well. And Catherine's got a whole plethora of different books out there on this series, and obviously her vampire series as well. So go and check out that while you are there as well. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I have to ask one more question, only because
Yeah.
I'm a huge Buffy and Angel fan. Favorite Buffy episode?
Oh, it's the body.
Good pick. Favorite Angel episode?
It's like absolutely one of the saddest things that I've seen, and no matter how many times I watch it, I always cry. It's like it's just such a brilliantly done episode.
Mm-hmm. No, agreed. What about Angel wise? Favorite Angel episode?
Oh gosh. That one is a bit tougher. I think it's a series of episodes, but it's kind of revolves around the story arc of like Wesley um thinking that Angel's baby is going to be the Antichrist or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and it's that final episode of the season. I can't think of the name of it when he like uh
Oh, is it the one in the
basically
vault?
gets yeah
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember the name of it now.
I can't think of the name of it.
No, I know which one. Yeah, I don't know the name of the episode. I know it's the one where he's put into the kind of coffin, put underwater, and then left to
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, awesome. No, mine Angel wise has to be Oh, have you ever been? Which is when he first in the hotel, which has always been
Oh
my
yeah.
favourite for some reason. And
The
the
hotel
faith,
is so cool
it
though.
is, They needed to put him somewhere else apart from the office. So
Yeah.
awesome, brilliant. I had to ask because I live and breathe Angel and Buffy. So
Mhm.
I had to ask. Awesome. So again, a huge thank you to Catherine for coming on the podcast this week. A huge shout out as well to our sponsor, Abominable Books. They are the UK's best and biggest UK horror and thriller book box service, bringing the wonders of a haunted bookshop straight to your door each month. I'm getting better at this. Don't need to write it down anymore. I have two boxes. You have the Bare Bones box, which is just two books, and a Positive Haunted second hand book, and the full box, which is a brand new book, a second indie title, and a possibly haunted second hand book as well. You also get snacks, pins. We've got a bag in there, a couple of boxes to go, which is absolutely amazing. This time around, we got Eric the Rocker's new book, which is amazing, and he is one twisted person. As you will remember from when we had him on before. The second
Um,
story in that collection is, yeah, I haven't even got to the end of that story yet, and even already feeling a bit on edge of what's going to happen.
I'm behind.
Yeah,
I'm so
he
behind
is.
on his stuff.
He is so amazing though. His last book, I've got the name of the book now. Is novella, which he re-released. I have you ever been?
Oh,
No,
bad things have gotten worse.
I think it's gotten worse since we last spoke
Yeah.
with tapeworms and apple peelers. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. But he's such a great author. But he was the signed edition in the box this time around. So go and check it
Oh, that's
out
awesome.
for next time. And use the code Bloody Good Reads at checkout. Go to Abominable Book Club at createdread.com. I'm getting there to go and pick up a box. It should be for May now. I think the April box is probably going to be already picked up, but you won't be disappointed. The amount of authors we got from this box and the amount of books I have got that I'm loving is right up there. I've got to ask you. So before we get to my Twitter bit, where can people find you if you'd like to be found?
So I am on social media. I have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. Most active on Twitter, which is at Katherine Silva _, and Instagram, which is Katherine.Silva.author. And then I also have a TikTok, if you're into that. I don't post all the time, and they are very silly videos, but you can find me over there at Katherine Silva author.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I jumped way ahead of where I should have been.
That is so fun.
I haven't done this for a good month. Right, okay. As always, you can catch me over on Twitter at Bloody Good Reads, over on Instagram at Bloody Good Reads, and over on Facebook at the Bloody Good Reads Book Club. I think it's Bloody Good Reads group now. But go and join us over there. Got a load of authors on there who are sharing their works. And also check out our monthly movie podcast as well, which is Bloody Good Screen on this feed, where me, Chloe, Nan, and Marcus review 2 films a week, 2 films a month. Normally rubbish films that Niall hates, and I just want to do it just to make him feel shit. So we last episode just come out, just dropped. It was Puppet Master and Muppets Haunted Mansion, and coming up we've got some amazing films, which are much better than what we watched this time around. So go and check that out. Give us a like, subscribe, share, get our eyes out there. And yeah, I've been your host, Mike Goddard, and I'll see you next time.